What's good, YouTube and Twitch? We're live here with Master Dinnerflax and Phoenix Flare X for some insightful commentary as we watch Noble Knights Extra Link with only 2 cards in the starting hand and then 3 random cards, as well as achieve this without Firewall Dragon, emphasizing that a deck underestimated like Noble Knights in the current meta don't need Firewall to go ahead and get there. Like, you don't need to have Firewall to do one of the most despicable things in the game currently that almost feels like gen locking. Take it away, Master Dinnerflax.
All right, I'm gonna start this by saying this is a 45 card deck. However, it's not really. I just haven't cut everything from this list yet. But I'm gonna just show you the combo. I'm also going to truck through it because I'm very familiar with his old decks. So let's start with our normal summon, Rescue Rabbit. And now we are going to summon 2 normal Noble Knights. These will get us into Isolde. And yeah, let's go ahead and do that. And as soon as we summon Isolde, we're going to search any Noble Knight you don't want to summon this turn. But you don't, it's preferably just a Noble Knight just because you kind of want it as a graveyard fodder.
So you're telling me Isolde is actually searching an archetype monster from her deck for maybe the first time ever on video?
She also used 2 of her own archetype named monsters to summon her.
Ooh,
but if that doesn't impress you, let's send archetype-based equip spells.
Ooh!
And Phoenix Blade. We can't.
Oh, and the card that might be hit on a ban list, boys. Yeah. Divine Sword Phoenix Blade. Fair.
And now we're going to summon Armageddon. We're going to send Malicious and banish Malicious. So we are now at these bodies.
So if you're keeping up, basically this is just sent to the graveyard, it's banished, and this is the extra body on board for Malicious's banishing. So we're getting places despite using the actual Noble Knight engine in a sense for this.
And
all
wait,
right,
so I'm
now
confused. You're telling me you're playing equip spells that aren't absolute bricks in your deck?
No, because they belong to the Noble Knights, and not only are they usable drawing them, but they're usable in the graveyard because you have the XYZs.
That's so weird. Continue.
Yeah. And now we are going to summon another broken card.
Ooh.
And this one is going to specifically summon Ishtar out of our deck.
And we know she's sticking around because she hasn't been reprinted in a special edition.
And Ishtar is what I like to call a noble dragon ruler knight, because he acts like a dragon ruler to summon himself, but that's about it. He also has another effect where if you use him for a synchro or XYZ, you can't negate or respond to the summon, but that's only helpful against trap decks. But we're not trying to go against trap decks; we're trying to extra link. So now we are going into yet another broken card. Nightmare Goblin, and we are going to discard the Noble Knight we searched.
So you still got this token, by the way, represents his cards in hand, which is why they're not there. It's just a generic, hey, I have these cards in my hand. So the Noble Knight is in hand as well as this Lady of Lake.
And now we are going to normal summon that Lady of the Lake and a Goblin, and that's going to summon our normal monster.
Woo!
And now, what I'm about to go into is Nightmare Griffin. One statement I want to make about this is if in one of these random cards in hand is a Solemn, what you will do is you will toss it with Griffin or Goblin, depending on which one, it doesn't matter. And then you will grab it back with Griffin, and you will keep the same number of cards in your hand that are random, but you will also have a set Solemn.
Well, so one of the random quote-unquote cards would be a Noble Knight if you pitched it. But I guess you would pitch it with Griffin or Goblin, so you could pitch the unusable Noble Knight in either of these. So yeah, you have 3 random cards in hand, and then a Solemn is gone instead, because you get the extra draw off Griffin's effect.
Alright, now we are going to use Phoenix Blade. And this will be our new discard fodder. So that's in our hand. And we are going to summon Mermaid, we are going to toss to summon Ibli from our deck.
Ooh,
and that'll
locking
net
out
us
the opponent.
And it will net us a draw. So we're at 4 cards in hand. And now we are going to link these 2 away into another goblin. And hey, John, do you like Ibli? Because here you go.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I've been waiting for this card.
And now we are going to level eat with Lady of the Lake. Because this card in the graveyard is Level Eater. Because she only banishes herself when used for a Synchro Summon, but not for a Link Summon. So that...
What are those?
Synchro Summons? I don't remember.
Those are those cards aren't blue, are they?
No.
They're gray. We'll see them once in a while once Needle Fiber comes out.
But you need a tuner for those.
Yes.
So it's like
and
worse
it's not
Link.
Needle Fiber.
It's almost like Lady of the Lake's a tuner.
Yeah.
Weird.
So now we are going to link these 2 away into Phoenix. And
Phoenix Flare X, by the way.
you remember how I said it's a Dragon Ruler?
Ooh, it's a
So
dragon
we are going to
ruler.
banish 2 Noble Knights to summon him back.
Ooh!
And then we are going to level eat again. Link summon Link Karibo.
Whew!
But, so the Griffin is kind of important on if you want to decide to keep it up or not. It is a floodgate that says special summon monsters can't do anything unless they're linked. But if you're kind of worried about the Regeki or Dark Hole, you can just link these 2 away into a Cerberus. And now if you drew a Solemn and they just can't out this at this point.
Well, I got some bad news for you. I got a Moon Mirror Shield in my hand, but you also have 4 other cards that could have potentially dealt with this. Could have potentially had anything for me, because look at this. He has all of this off 2 cards, plus 4 in hand.
Oh, and keep in mind, when you go, let's say you go back into Griffin, you have a level 4 Noble Knight on field. So if you want to break apart their board next turn, let's just say you normal summon another level 4, you will now go into a King and grab back all of these.
Ooh.
Yeah, these Noble Knight XCs are kind of busted for how they handle these equip spells.
So this extremely underestimated, extremely put on the back burner with... I'm not seeing any of their new cards in here. Noble Knight deck doesn't need Firewall to not only U-Link, also negate effects with Griffin, have 4 cards in hand here, and then also, if you happen to draw a Solemn, set it for free. And you're telling me all of that off of just 2 cards, and one of them's Lady of the Lake. This is pretty insane.
And am I correct?
Lady of the Lake can also be Foolish Burial in most of these combos, too.
And I have a question. Am I correct in assuming that you don't need Rescue Rabbit? You could just have a Noble Knight plus any Warrior Extender, like, say, Hornet Drone or
yes.
Instant Fusion?
All you need is a Warrior Extender and a Noble Knight with Lady of the Lake.
Yeah, Hornet Drone is Warrior, correct?
Yes.
That is correct.
So if you wanted to go Sky Striker route and go into it, you can. But this is just a look at an archetype breaking of the U-Link / Extra Link. Like, this man's is set up to where you can decide if you want to negate your opponent's effects or if you want to make yourself undestroyed by card effects, targeting, and battle all together. Just with 2 cards, having 4 in hand, you can set whatever, you can equip whatever. Like, there may be quote-unquote bricks with the equips, but he's actually playing the Noble Knight deck, so they work in here. You're looking at something that didn't use any of the new support and still got to this point despite whatever your opponent may be playing. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. It is.
Yu-Gi-Oh! At this point doesn't even need Firewall to break. We're looking at Goblin Summon Sorceress, which are 2 cards people are looking at, but Summon Sorceress hasn't been printed for anybody. EU hasn't got a chance to even play with it, so we're highly likely / I don't think there's ever been a point where, like, TCG USA/Mexico/Canada. Actually, not, sorry, Mexico. I didn't mean to include you. USA/Canada got to play with, and then Mexico and EU did not get to play with for a bit before banning it. I don't recall that happening.
I don't either.
It's likely that Summon Sorceress is going to get to be played by everybody. How likely is it Goblin goes from 3 to 0 real quick? Unlikely. I don't think that's happening either. So all these enablers, sans Firewall, are likely to just stay here for everybody to use and abuse. And we can see this from something as simple as Noble Knights themselves in Archetype.
And what's also interesting is this deck has a built-in tuner in Lady of the Lake, so Needle Fiber is a further enabler of this possibly in the future, even without Firewall.
The most broken OCG card put in here, we've just U'd on up. All your monsters lose 1,000 attack, you gotta link to me, or link to something in order to be able to get effects, and look, I've shut everything off. You can't target me, you can't destroy me by battle. It's crazy, and if he wants to, instead of negating effects, he can make himself undestroyed by effects instead. So, like, yeah, okay, Raigeki works here. Good, but he could make it not work if he's deciding on that. It's just actually insane, the amount of ability that he has to bend this board.
In before opponent declares end of battle phase.
Ooh, one evenly matched boy. You're not wrong there.
That is true, but again, that's why I mentioned the Solemns.
Yeah, actually, if he has drawn any of 3 Solemn Scolding or 1 Solemn Judgment, like, hey, it's back on the field. You got to deal with that too.
Upstart.
Yeah, oh, I have double evenly. I'm prepared for any situation, says the comment section.
Yeah.
You can't evenly because he has Ibly on his field.
Oh, right. I know you can crash the Ibly. Yeah, my dude.
Crash it in the link, Rebo.
Are there any final thoughts on this?
My final thoughts are, this is pretty insane overall. You've welded into the ability. You don't need just Rescue Rabbit. You have the ability with certain cards and combos to go into this turn 1. And it's pretty impressive to see that from something like Noble Knights, which is a laughingstock in terms of the meta. People look at it, they just say, you got new support, you're not doing anything, and you didn't even have to abuse any of that new support. You have tuners that actually could go into crazy support, as Phoenix said, with Needle Fiber. You use an archetype cards to do what you're doing. It's pretty impressive. All I gotta say is, Master Dinnerflax is a YouTuber. I'd like to see him monetize. He's at, what, 260, 270 subs right now? I'd like to see that increase to 1,000. But making content over here on Twitch and YouTube, and always being a co-host on the stream, moderator, putting in that work, I'd love to see that monetized overall. So he's got some interesting concepts for what he would do with that money with his channel.
Oh, yeah, just wait for the sync pack opening.
Phoenix Flare X, you had a final thought on this, if I recall.
It looks pretty interesting. I'm convinced that any deck can extra link with a rubber band and a piece of string.
Chat, it's been great having you here. It's been great having everybody. Farfa fell asleep. Oh, big oof. But we got Phoenix Flare X, Master Dinnerflax. This has been a pretty interesting look at the current, like, not even metagame, just looking at what random decks can do with 2 cards and saying, whoops, I extra linked you. What are you going to do about it? Oh, hey, here's an Ibly, by the way. I'll give you a card on the start. What's my 6th card here? I got a Moonmirror Shield, but I can't kill anything by battle because of Flamingo Flare X on the other side. I guess I can set up Blazing Mirror Force and hope that he doesn't Cerberus me on the next turn. Like, it's realistically just a really cool combo and a niche deck that shows what you don't even need Firewall to really abuse this part of the mechanic, this part of the game board, and it's interesting to watch it actually happen because there's so many decks that just don't need Firewall. People are calling for Firewall, 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 but abusing the other broken cards in the format, such as Phoenix Blade, which he didn't even need. He had the appropriate cards in hand to discard if he didn't have Phoenix Blade. He has Goblin, which unlikely to be banned on its own. There's so many different hits to the ban list that this avoids to continue to happen to opponents throughout the entire duel. That's my opinion on it. So, subscribe to Master Dinnerflax if you haven't already. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and let me know what you thought about this U-Link. Oh, one hand trap and you're over, son. Like, okay, that's a lot of things in this format. Even Goki's resilience is in the fact that it floats. I think that this deck is very interesting in that we see the end amount of cards versus 2 cards is still 4 without having to go the distance. Thanks for watching, and again, in the description, check out Master Dinnerflax. It's the content, the high quality content you guys deserve. Thanks for watching.
Sure.